MIT drops DEI admissions requirement. MIT President Sally Kornbluth stated, "My goals are to tap into the full scope of human talent to bring the very best to MIT and to make sure they thrive once here. We can build an inclusive environment in many ways, but compelled statements impinge on the freedom of expression and they do not work." Is this the death knell of DEI and higher institutions of learning? Let's find out. So before we get into any of this, let's take a step back and let's look at sort of how DEI was initially presented a few years ago. And let's look at some reasons why people may not necessarily like it nowadays.
DEI is short for diversity, equity, and inclusion. Here's a breakdown. Diversity is ensuring the representation of all identifiers across races, gender identities, sexual orientations, religions, political beliefs, socioeconomic statuses, and more. Equity is the fair treatment of all previously stated identifiers, making sure every person in the environment has the same opportunities, resources, and support. Inclusion is making sure that the space is comfortable and welcoming to every type of person present. Everybody should feel respected and valued. Host of the 2023 Golden Globe Awards, Gerard Carmichael, included in his opening monologue that the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, the group of journalists that decide the nominees and the winners of the Golden Globes, didn't have a single black journalist in the association until after George Floyd died. The last time there was a black member was in 2002. This means that the Golden Globes nominations and voting were missing out on black voices that could have contributed to helping black films and shows get nominated and win awards.
There's a myth that we aren't innovative and that we don't bring innovative solutions. We are the most creative people. If you look at Google's YouTube platform, Black creators use YouTube not just to innovate, it's monetized. We also network there, and we have built our businesses from entertainment to the arts to science and engineering using a highly creative platform.
DEI is put in place to avoid these situations. It is implemented to make sure that from the very beginning, all types of people get the chance to be in the room and make the decisions.
Does DEI work?
Yes. I have seen tremendous success in...
Are you aware there are 100 studies that suggest that it doesn't work?
There are also studies show that it does work. If you look at the Harvard
But
Business
those are
Review,
done.
Deloitte...
Well, let's look at the Harvard Business Review because they actually did a study. The study found that over 5 years, 800 plus businesses consistently lost diversity in their managers, that no improvement in the proportions of white women, blacks, Hispanics, and Asians, and the participants feel external power trying to control their behavior.
Mm-hmm. So I can only lean on my experience. So I've worked for 13 different companies throughout the course of my career.
One of my biggest pet peeves with the current social climate is how many who consider themselves liberal or progressive mindlessly support any new idea or slogan without considering its implications. These efforts end up causing resentment to grow due to how compulsory and forced they become within our society. There's nothing wrong with having a statement or a creed concerning the fair treatment of all who reside within an organization, but there shouldn't be these cringeworthy exercises like making applicants state their dedication to the cause of whichever minority group needs the most pity. MIT was absolutely correct for removing this from their application requirements, in my opinion.
Massachusetts Institute of Technology is dropping a requirement that prospective hires make a diversity statement, becoming the first elite university to throw away this practice. Previously, MIT required applicants to write, quote, a statement in regards to their views on diversity, inclusion, and belonging, including past and current contributions, as well as their vision and plans for the future in these areas. MIT President Sally Kornbluth defended this decision, telling Rising in a statement, quote, my goals are to tap into the full scope of human talent to bring the very best to MIT and to make sure they thrive once here. We can build an inclusive environment in many ways, but compelled statements impinge on freedom of expression and they don't work. Responding to her comments, former Republican presidential candidate and talk show host Larry Elder took to X to write, quote, "Duh, one need not go to MIT to figure this out." So this has been a top goal of people on the right seeking higher education reform, and also various civil liberties groups, including the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, that these policies should be considered compelled speech, like, attesting to having a certain political view before being hired, and they should be gotten rid of. So I am glad to see MIT being the first to take this step, and I hope that other colleges follow suit.
I don't know that I think it's attesting to a certain, it's compelled speech anymore so than asking a prospective employee to write out where they think they should be 5 years from now, or what kind of work product they hope to have developed 5 years from now, or saying anything prospective about the future. A private institution is allowed to value diversity, whether it's racial diversity, diversity of thought, or any other kind of thing, and ask its prospective employees to talk about how they hope to help further MIT in that goal. That being said, I think the key point here is that these things don't work, and that most people don't think of themselves and their role as a cog in an institution as having any real meaningful role in facilitating those kind of HR priorities, like what the workplace composition more broadly looks like. So there are many instances in the world where new ideas come, they try them, they don't work, and they cast them aside. And I think it's good for a private institution to be able to do exactly that instead of what we're seeing all across the country.
The current DEI scheme is really bad when even proponents of diversity call it out for being lazy and ineffective. Just listen to Harvard professor Roland Fryer discuss his views of DEI.
Universities are doing it in a lazy way. The universities don't have the data sets. They don't actually know what the grit and resilience of the applicants are. That's the problem. And so they have to rely on these silly metrics that they're using. I'm saying, let's change the whole system. I'm not paying attention to what they're doing now because it's wrong. You and I agree on that. Let's change the whole system. Let's actually collect much better data on these applicants. Let's have them do very different things. And then we can make the right decision for the most talented people, not just the people who work hardest, not the people who have higher scores and refuse to go to class, because we've met those people, those geniuses who refuse to do anything. It's the combo, it's the it's the Kobe's, it's the Mamba mentality.
I'm heartbroken knowing the fact that if you ever became the owner,
you're not getting in.
I wouldn't be a running back.
No,
it broke my heart.
No, there's bias.
I feel discrimination.
Well,
I think he's trying to save you.
You should, because it was applied.
And I'm okay with it. That's my point.
I want to hear your thoughts. Do you think MIT made the right move? Do you think support for DEI will falter in other institutions? And do you think that another version will eventually take its place? Personally, I don't think you can change culture by forcing people to swallow the rhetoric that you believe and you personally deem important while not taking into account their perspective. Once you treat any feedback as dissent, you lose the ability to reach others. But try telling this to the all-knowing woke mob. I'm the commentary king, and I'll see you around.